Hi, everyone. Can everyone hear me? Okay, great. So my name is Jessie Orzaretic. I am currently a pediatric neuroradiologist and a fetal imager at Ann and Robert H. Lurie Children's Hospital, Chicago. And I'm originally actually from England. So I have gone through the alternate pathway, which I have plenty of information on, and anyone's can message me after that. And so I just want to give you a little bit of background as to, why I decided to come. I found the American system, I really loved it when I came for observership, and I really wanted to come and learn head and neck radiology at the time. And so I started looking into it. Now, and then I found out about the alternate pathway, which basically you have to get in 4 years at the same institution. Hi. um, get 4 years sponsorship at the same institution. One of my biggest advice for you guys is, there's also visas that you need to think about, but I would highly recommend when people from an international background come and want to stay in America, they should come with a H visa. The J visa is significantly more difficult after you transition year after year. Now, there's also two routes between alternate, and there's a possibility of actually just applying into radiology residency. And then that way you have your 4 year into the system. The alternate pathway is, for me, I had to apply every year in the same institution to get sponsorship. But with the residency, once you're in, then you have that 4 years done. And as another sort of piece of advice, the alternate pathway rules and regulations do not go away after you get your ABR boards. There are still sort of post ABR boards alternate pathway restrictions. So my recommendation is, even if you don't like the thought of maybe redoing radiology residency, I think the radiology residency would be a good idea. Now, things that I did that to help me strengthen my application. I did posters and projects, both educational and little like retrospective research project, and I think that gives you one sort of additional great reference on your CVs. I went to conferences, meeting other American residents, asking for advice, especially when at the time before I came to America, I was taking step exams. So I got some tips and information from other residents that were already in the system. You can try and network with attendings if in the area that you want to go into, and just find information whether they have like spots. And also if there's spots that's available, if maybe a fellow dropped out of their program, all these things. So I would suggest that's really helpful. And then, things, and doing this, plus also I'm very much more into research, and it inspires me into sort of, the areas that I want to get into. It provides, gives me, doing these projects also, makes me a better radiologist and a better teacher. So from that point, I think, it's a win-win situation. Now I'm going to open the floor up to the rest of the room to ask, and to answer any questions that anyone has. So. Does any of you want to ask any questions? Yeah, I'm happy if you guys want to just, unmute yourself. But I have one question here from Monsi Kodra. Is it difficult to find programs that offer the alternate pathway? Yes, you will have to do some investigation, or you have to search for these programs yourself. I don't know where you are, Monsi, whether you're actually in America. That is slightly easier. At the time when I was looking into programs that had opening, I was actually doing a fellowship in Australia. So I was spending a lot more time trying to find an opening to come into radiology, into America. So I would say it is a little bit more challenging if you're internationally, because it's harder to sort of navigate. I wasn't so familiar with all the programs in America. So, and that's why I say, if you have an American, if you make a connection with an American residence, they can help you navigate, because I wasn't aware of all the programs that were available in America, especially when I was new to the system. So great question.
So if I may add, Dr. Zorotic, if the question was directed towards like Chicagoland, I think Rush offers the alternate pathway. I think they offer neuroradiology alternate pathway, and Loyola does offer alternate pathway too. But it depends on like how they kind of like coordinate with them for the 4 years. But in Chicagoland, I'm aware that these two programs offer. The one other from a couple of people that I've met at conferences I've heard is University of Washington. They offer this alternate pathway for 4 years. And I think those are like the few programs that I know of, if that helps to anyone.
Yeah, great point. Okay, we have another question. Being from Aaron, being a third-year medical student in Chicago, what would be a good way to connect with these programs and get to know them? So I will. Do you want to answer that, especially with Loyola?
Yeah, sure. So you can just write to the program director or the coordinator that's listed on our website. And I think if they have like a shadowing or like an observership or like 1 month of training through Loyola, they are like more than happy to accommodate. So it goes through the medical school, and they arrange your rotation for a month or two of radiology rotation with the program, and that's how like you get to know more people. And then during that month, like usually when we have residents or the medical students rotating through us, what they do is like they kind of like ask for, like they kind of get to know the attendings, and when they're comfortable with one or the other attending, they ask if they do like research projects that they get involved in. And once they get onto the system, even if they finish the rotation and go, they have their emails, so they can keep working on some research projects, like even writing a case report or something. And that kind of gives you a bond, like like you get to know them, and then like when it's time for you to apply for residency, they can put in a word for you if you're applying for their residency program. So that's how like usually the medical students who rotate with the program get in touch with them.
Yeah, and I also want to add, if you are, so that's if you're also at a fellow level, then you could also there are options, and I went through sort of the Lurie, but Northwestern do have some options also. So I would reach out to Northwestern as well, if that's another interest. Now we have another question. So from AJ, so as an IMG, what are the things to highlight on your application to make us more competitive and unique versus our counterparts? I think really, I would say the research / the publications, I think that really makes you stand out more, even if you do you start anything, case report, educational posters, especially in the sort of big societies such as RSNA, ARRS. And I think there is more, even with this COVID pandemic options, I think you can participate in these conferences via sort of virtual meeting. That's still happening. You can you don't necessarily have to do a actual paper poster presentation. There are now options for electronic presentations, which I think is a great option for international students, because then you just upload it wherever you are in the world, and then you have the abstract, and that's it, and you can also, if someone is willing to mentor you in, say, whatever program you decide to pursue, then you have options for Zoom meetings. I think everyone is now very open to Zoom meetings. There might be, you might have to work a little bit on the time difference, but it can be done for sure. Like currently, I'm mentoring a student actually out of state, a medical student out of state. They're not IMG, but we do everything by email, and we've had some Zoom meetings. So I think that has brought forth good options for definitely IMGs across the world.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree with what Dr. Zorotic said. Like, you can reach out to, like, regardless of where you are. Like, for example, I would like give you a live example. Like, we had one of the participants who participated in Chicago Radiology Expo last year. And then he got in touch with our program, and then he wanted to do some research. He was from India. So he was like emailing us back and forth, asking about like how they can apply for residency, and then asked like, if you can give me a topic, I can collect some cases and submit for abstracts. And then he worked on it, and then like he eventually applied for a research observership program at Loyola, and now he's a research fellow here. So it was just like this connections, like, you write to them, you reach out to people, and then if they can help and you have a topic, or if you have in your own hospital, if it's a simple topic, you can just collect some images, then you can write up the abstract, you can coordinate corrections or like submission, everything could be online through emails, or like what Dr. Zorotic said, like you can do like Zoom meetings, and then like start the first step, and then you can just make the connections more, and they can guide you if their program doesn't have, and if they know there some of the friends whose program have observerships or like something that you can come and participate, they can give you the information, and then you can move on to that step.
And these are great points, and I just want to add one last point. If you put in an abstract and it doesn't get accepted first time, don't worry about it. Just keep doing it. Just find another alternative, conference, and then, but use it as a learning point, and then just, revise and edit your abstract. It's all a learning process, and this will also be good learning experience, because there's going to be little roadblocks and bumps along the way. So everything's not smooth. It's not smooth even for American residents. So if you get a little bump in the road, I would suggest just take it on the chin and keep going forth and stay positive, because if you really want to come, then it'll happen.
Yeah.
And okay, so I have another question. There's another question, Aaron. The question is, I will be attending RSNA 2021 physically this year. Do you have any tips for me to interact with colleagues? Yes, I would suggest you, they were, RSNA was doing meetups definitely for residents. So there was a little like event, after hours event, that I would advise you going there. I'd also go to the residence lounge, where you can pick up lunch or some snack and coffee or breakfast in the morning. And again, that is a good meeting place. And start talking to other fellow attendees. Even if they're not an American resident, I would say it's still excellent to connect with other IMGs who are either got in or haven't got in, and then trying to work their way in. And at the time when I was doing it, I was also looking up online for forums. So I was IMG forums who were talking and discussing about this. and get involved and just listen to other people's advice. So I would highly recommend that.
One other thing, if other places like the Association of University of Radiologists, the AUR meetings, they have a medical student section and also the resident and fellow section. If you want to participate, they have like a membership. I think it's like $75 or so. You can just enroll in that sessions and you'll get like intimations about how it works, and then you'll have more people around the same level where you're like entering into residency to or fellowship, so that you can get colleagues with you, so you can ask them as well.
So we have another question from Monsi. As an IMG, how important are the STEP scores to get into fellowship? I would say that's very dependent on the program that you're going to. You know, there's a wide range of programs and the level of need or criteria that they have. So I think, you know, some programs probably use that a little bit more weighting, but from my own personal experience, I think if you have a strong CV with other like experiences and also teaching experience that you can also highlight that you've been involved with, I think that would also make you a stronger candidate, both teaching and research. You know, it's not just about the STEP score. Okay, so is okay, we have another question from Sarah. Is AGCME accreditation of the radiology residency a requirement to enter the alternate pathway? So short answer is no. A number of my fellowships that I did during the alternate pathway was not AGCME accredited, so it's not a requirement. Okay, these are great questions that we're getting from the audience. Anything else?
And circling back to the question, like how they want to like get involved, like the research thing, like remote that we said, Chicago Radiological Society, CRS, does the poster competition like in January of every year. So I think the submission deadline is sometime in December. I think it's December 1st or 2nd week. You guys can look into the CRS website, and then they'll give you like what's the format to submit an abstract. It's a poster, and I think this year is still like online, I suppose. That's a great way to even submit an abstract to the poster submission to the CRS.
Okay, and while all you guys are thinking of more questions, I'm going to say Bucky as the code for our session. So remember Bucky, and then now come and you know, don't be shy. We have 10 more minutes for questions, and then at the end of the session, don't forget to fill out your post survey questionnaire for your chance to win the raffle prize. So yeah, keep these questions in. What else can I? You know, okay, great. We have another question coming from Monsi. Can you tell us more about your fellowship experiences in the US? What stood out about education? Okay, Monsi, I would just ask you to clarify your second question while I answer the first question. Tell us more about your fellowships. So, you know, I ended up doing quite a number of fellowships. When I first came, I was not prepared. I came, wasn't expecting to stay. And I came because I wanted to really learn head and neck radiology. And then So I actually moved institution. So the alternate pathway requires you to be 4 years in one institution. So I ended up moving to a second institution where I, got the 4 years. So first of all, I did adult neuroradiology at U of C. Then I went into pediatric radiology at Ann and Robert H. Lurie, which I am, now an attending. So at that time, I did pediatric radiology. That led me into pediatric neuroradiology because my love has always been neuroradiology and head and neck and all that aspects. Then, with the help of the program, they helped me with a third year with a combined cardiovascular and MSK fellowship in pediatric imaging too. In my fourth year, because Northwestern and Lurie are affiliated, I did a adult cardiovascular. So, in total, it was a little bit more increased time because I had to move institution. But I use all, I'm grateful because I use all my experience that I've gained from the other fellowships in what I love doing now. It's not just purely pediatric neuroradiology. I also do, I was doing pediatric body imaging, and now I've transitioned into fetal imaging as part of my sort of my role. And my experience from prior fellowships have helped me in that. No, and then what stood about? Yay! I want to do pediatric radiology. Great. Yeah, for sure. Come and you can. I mean, it's a great specialty. So my question about education is just more about asking if there are more opportunities to learn in the US compared to other countries. Absolutely, I would say, I came from the UK system. I love the UK, but I would say that there is definitely more opportunities to learn in the American system, and that's why that's what I saw when I first came in my observership to America. I was just blown. My mind was just blown by noon conferences. They had noon conferences that was like of really high caliber, and we have like morning conferences, and then there's all these resources that are available in the US system that's not so readily available just due to more financial constraints, even in the UK system. And as a sort of side point for you guys now because of the pandemic, to strengthen just your own education, there are free resources out there that's available through all the American societies. RSNA, as a medical student, you can sign up with no membership fees to all these societies where you can access all their resources like free webinars. So I highly encourage you, whatever your interest is, whether it's peds radiology, whether it's breast imaging, whether it's body imaging, there are, these, the American Thoracic Society of Radiology, there's tons of free resources that you can access as, and also Society of Pediatric Radiology, free webinars, free cases, Twitter. I produce like Twitter fetal cases. So all this will help you, not just for your exams, but also just give you a high caliber level that you can, access internationally. The CRS, yeah. So I think the last few minutes, I'm going to repeat the code word Bucky. So remember that, Bucky, for your chance to win. And don't forget to fill out the post-survey questionnaire. Okay. Does anyone have any last minute questions in our last few minutes? If we don't, then maybe we could.
I have a question. You mentioned something about mentorship program. I've been looking into that. I've noticed some of the websites that you mentioned have them, but how do I haven't found a way to actually reach out, or do I just email somebody? I'm not sure how to go about it. I was wondering if you can just elaborate on that.
Yeah, I'm not aware of, like, I don't know, I don't have all the information for all society, but so what I usually do if I'm trying to find something new, then I would try, there's usually a contact info and it's usually the administrator. So I would start off there and be very open and say, I would like to be involved, or I would like to participate in the mentorship program. And how do I go about doing this? And then and I would say just to try and be persistent, because I think that's another thing that another advice I would recommend as a sort of IMG. You just have to be persistent, and persistent, be polite, and be and sometimes you have to have a bit of patience because I think a lot of people have like a lot of emails to go through. So, just and then if you don't hear from them after a couple of weeks, then follow up with another email saying, I'm sorry, I'm not sure because sometimes there are some like technical issues. Sometimes the email might have gone into the spam folder. So I would be persistent and just follow up emails and ask, how do I get into this, to be involved in the mentorship? I would like to connect with a mentor. I think the ACR has also a mentorship program. A couple of our attendings have our mentors on that program. Now, as a point, if in that particular society, if it's only open to American trainees, then ask if they have like a recommendation for IMGs. Sometimes they might have information on that. So it's a kind of, you have to do your own investigation and whatnot. Hope that answers your question.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Okay, I think we've reached our time limit. So thanks everyone for attending.
And thank you so much, Dr. Zartek, for all the important pointers. I'm sure like everyone had a little bit to take from this session. And everyone can reach out and post your questions if you have anything on our Rad Expo 2021 Twitter, and our panelists will be happy to answer them.
And please do not forget to fill out the post survey link, because you can enter a chance to win the Oculus Quest 2.
Yes.
Thank you, Jessie, for your time. This was wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you. Bye.